is upset.
And maybe for good reason, because he gave him plenty of room to make the catch. I don't believe that he was inside that area. It wasn't targeting from what I could tell, so we'll have to see what the call is.
George threw his headset.
Yeah, hat and headset.
He cannot believe that the call. We'll have to wait and see exactly what it is.
The head official is trying to get a clear explanation.
Yo, 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 yo. We back with another one, Carver Wrenches TV. And I'm back. I know I've been gone for a little while. Had some technical difficulties. I got everything squared away. And now we here to run again. And before we get into this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and please leave all comments below. Eddie George is kind of upset with everyone right now, and especially in the black community, for the lack of support he has for his Tennessee State program. The Tennessee State Tigers are currently 4-2 and holding their own in the HBCU. Eddie George just don't understand how can we have all this hype for one situation and he doesn't have any hype for his situation. Eddie George is a former NFL player, not just a former NFL, but a great player. He also won the Heisman Trophy at Ohio State, which validates him to being a head coach. Eddie George has come a long way with this Tennessee State Tiger program. When he first got there, the program was in utter ruins. And Eddie George, and within a couple of years, have turned the program around. And with that, he should be commended. Eddie George is feeling like people only doing the bandwagon thing and not really, and really don't care about football, which I agree. Most people, and including women, don't really care about football. It's more about the hype. And what we're seeing in Colorado is a lot of bandwagon hype around Deion. While I'm proud of Deion and I'm happy for all the accolades he's receiving at Colorado, Eddie George and the Tennessee State program should be talked about more than they are being talked about. In fact, I don't even hear about Eddie George in the Tennessee State program, or I don't even hear really any mention about HBCU programs. I heard Charleston White say the other day on a podcast, what happened to all the HBCU, hashtag HBCUs, since Deion has been gone? It has been utterly silent with the support of HBCUs since Deion has defected to Colorado. And Eddie George is only pointing that out. Now, while he didn't mention Deion by name, we all know what he's alluding to. Now, on the other side, on the flip side of this, and there's a flip side to this, Eddie George must also recognize that Colorado and the people who run Colorado really doesn't want those hip-hop acts there. And they're only doing that, and they're only using those people because their program was at the bottom of the pits. And they see that these hip-hop acts, by standing on the sideline, can raise the level of attention of their program. Now, with that, I do not blame Colorado, because at the end of the day, Colorado has a product to sell. They have seats to fill, and they have merchandise to sell. And it's Colorado's job to fill those seats and sell those merchandise the best way they can. And of course, they're going to use the face of Deion, the face of the hip-hop community, to bolster those sales. Is that fair or is that right? That's not for me to judge. I'm not the judge of that. I will say it does seem a kind of cringe that it takes, I would say, money, because I believe a lot of those appearances on the sideline for Deion is paid by the University of Colorado. I do feel like some of those people are there out of love, but I do feel like a lot of those people are really getting paid to be to stand on that sideline. Colorado is a school that's 99% white. Well, the city of Boulder is 99.3% white, and the college is 96% all white. So you can't tell me that these hip hop acts and these celebrities, these African American celebrities, is showing up to Boulder, Colorado, strictly for Deion. I really believe there is some type of payment compensation to this, which is cool to me. Colorado is only playing the game that's being handed to them. They understand by paying for these celebrities and paying for these different Hall of Fame football players on the sideline is going to have every eyeball on them. And the numbers bear it out. Deion is doing 10, 12 million views the first couple of weeks. So I definitely can see why Colorado has decided to go that route. It's definitely been beneficial to their pockets. It's definitely has worked out. You know, they were screaming they don't know where they're going to get the money from. But when you have $18 million weekends, and when you have over $46 million donated to your school, you can't tell me the procedure of hiring Deion for the University of Colorado has been super beneficial, and it has. But I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to get too much into his decision. I don't want to get too much into the pocket watching decision, but Eddie George is right. Where is the same fervor? Where are the black entertainers? Where are the Hall of Fame football players? Why they're not showing up to these games? I made a post on my Instagram, my personal Instagram, a couple of weeks back, stating why we don't see these black entertainers and these Hall of Fame players down in South Bend, Indiana? If I'm not mistaken, doesn't Notre Dame have a black coach? Where's the love for that? And again, I have to take the side of Jason Whitlock when it comes to a certain point. There's just a lot of bandwagon going on. A lot of people, like Eddie George say, man, they really don't care about football. Like you say, most of the times out of HBCU, they're leaving at halftime. They're only there to be seen, to hear what the band got to say, and then they're out of here. They're not intrigued about knowing the game of football and understanding the game of football. And I think Eddie George has walked into something that he thought was going to be more supportive, and it's not. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Eddie George is going to do the same thing Deion Sanders is going to do. Eddie George is not, again, he's 4-2. Eddie George is going to rebuild that program into an elite HBCU, and he's going to realize that no matter how much he builds that team up, no matter how far he takes that team, he can upset the University of Alabama. The support is not going to be there. And eventually, that is what's going to drive Eddie George to a power white institution. And when he does that, and when Eddie George leaves and goes to this power white institution, you won't hear one word out of me. Now, it's not the same as Deion, because Eddie George never came in and promised that he was going to have HBCUs competing at the highest level. But I will say this, the lack of support will run a man away. Just like how Deion left for more greener pastures on the other side, the lack of support also will run a man away. And that's what Eddie George is dealing with. If Eddie George turns on the TV and he is literally watching rappers from Memphis, Tennessee, just imagine that. Rappers from Memphis, Tennessee is on the sideline at a Colorado Boulder game. Well, how long does it take from you to drive from Memphis, Tennessee to Tennessee State? I think that should be the question. How can you even miss that? How can you even jump on the airplane and even miss that? But it goes back to my original statement. I truly believe in my heart that Colorado, with all the money that they're making from Deion being there, are in the position to compensate anybody they want on the sideline. And I think Eddie George kind of needs to understand that he's playing in an unfair market. You know, the only way somebody's going to come be paid to come Tennessee State, they're performing at homecoming, and that's it. So, yeah, I'm totally on board with Eddie George and his assertion of what's going on right now. That there's no support, but Eddie got to understand he's playing in a huge market, and he's at a HBC, and he's definitely at an unfair fight when it comes to notoriety for their programs. Hey man, once again I'm back. It's been a minute, but you make sure you like, subscribe, and pretty please leave all comments below.